You say, well, this looks pretty bad. How are we going to fight back? Well, 87% of Americans believe that reducing corruption in the federal government is either extremely or very important. But wait a minute. I thought that Republicans and Democrats couldn't agree to anything, that we were incredibly polarized. That's what I've been told by the establishment media. But it turns out 87% of us agree on something. And what do we agree on? Reducing corruption in federal government. Now, wait a minute. Why would that be extremely important unless 87% of the country was convinced that our government is fundamentally corrupt? And by the way, let me ask you another question. When you turn to the establishment media, do you ever see them saying this? Do you ever see them saying, oh, by the way, your government is totally corrupt? It's just not a big deal, but just want to let you know. Anyway, we'll move on. After the break, the rover lands on Mars. No, they do the exact opposite. They pretend that the government is not at all corrupt. They say, oh, well, here's Congressman Bob Smith. Oh, that's what you think? Oh, wow, that's so interesting. Like, 87% of us got it, even though the media didn't tell us. We still know it. We know it in our hearts, and we're right, but that's not all. 86%, also a high number. What is that one? That would be the number of people who think that politicians make decisions based off the interest of big campaign contributors. Now, a lot of you in this room probably think, of course! Of course! But that's because you're among the 86%. So when you ask someone in the media or someone in Washington, hey, do you make decisions based on donors? First of all, the politicians are like, oh, how dare you? I am the honorable gentleman from Nebraska. I do not make decisions based on donors. That is irrelevant. Well, 86% of the country thinks you're full of shit because you are, okay? And you think the media asked them that? If you asked Erin Burnett, this is a random example, okay? But seriously, I mean, it's not her by herself at all. She's just a symbol of so much of the establishment media. And by the way, to be fair to CNN, they now have Soledad O'Brien and Ashley Banfield doing a great job in the mornings, challenging Republicans, challenging Democrats, doing old school journalism. So, but to use her, because I brought her up already, Erin as an example, you think she says 86% of the country doesn't believe you? That, like, okay, let's talk about your campaign contributors, because apparently that's who you listen to. CNN, other than Soledad and Ashley, bless their hearts, I like those fighting women they got in the morning. So, but when's the last time you heard any anchor or news reporter say, hey, let's talk about your donations because we think, is that how you're making decisions? They think, oh, that's so impolite. Oh, my God, I'd never get invited to a cocktail party again. That's so uncivil. Let me tell you guys a story that I just got from my guys at the convention. So we sent an awesome A-team to the Republican and Democratic conventions. Michael Schur, our political correspondent, Lucas Lilliholm, the Lorax, as his producer, Dave Kohler, DK2000, and Aaron Wysocki was at the Republican one, but not at the Democratic one. Aaron runs our social media, really great guy, deals with the media for us, etc. And it's funny, I asked Aaron, Lucas, and Dave separately, not having talked to each other, they all had the same thing to say after the Republican convention. They said they felt a little sick in their stomach. And I said, oh, really? What did the Republicans do? And they said, no. It doesn't have anything to do with the Republicans. They were at the CNN grill. Now, I hate to throw CNN under the bus again. Again, it's not about them. It's about the idea and the culture, et cetera, right? And the people at the CNN grill are not just CNN. I've been at those conventions. I've been at those grills, et cetera. It's the media, the elite, and the politicians all together. And after talking with them for a while, they told me the same thing that I felt here in New York about, I guess, a year and a half ago. I was at MSNBC, as some of you might remember, and look, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling proud. We're on this good network, and my agent comes by, and he takes me to a fancy breakfast. And it's like apparently the power place. And if you guys have watched the show for a while, I like celebrities. I think it's fun and stuff like that, right? So, and then you go in, and Jesus, it's like you're in a movie. There's Harold Ford Jr., the former congressman from Tennessee, and then Tom Coburn works in. he's my random example of the day, but he was there. He's a senator, of course, from Oklahoma. Anchors, etc. It's like you walked onto a weird movie set or something, and you feel like, hey, I kind of made it. I'm at the power breakfast. It feels good. By the end of the breakfast, I wanted to vomit. And nobody did anything bad to me. It wasn't that. It was that I got a sense that these guys think it's a game. That, like, what you do on TV is like, oh, guy X goes out there and says, blah, 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 blah. Guy Y says the opposite, and they have a fun little game. And when the cameras are off and none of you are looking, they get together, and they're the chummiest people on earth. But wait a minute. Now, some of these guys, and I know what turned me at the breakfast. It was John Bolton. John Bolton, former UN ambassador for Bush, one of the, craziest neocons in the country, helped to start the Iraq war, can't wait to start the Iran war. I mean, this guy started a war, certainly was a big factor in starting a war, that got over 100,000 civilians killed. Look, it's not a number. It's somebody's aunt. It's somebody's kid. Can you imagine your son? I got a son now. Can you imagine? And this guy helped to make that happen. And these guys are like, hey, John, how you doing? Like it's no, like, but no, wait a minute. It isn't a game. It isn't a game. These decisions matter a lot. Sometimes you help people. Oftentimes you ruin people's lives. Sometimes you get them killed. And so the guys at the conventions, Lucas, Aaron, etc., they felt the same thing at that CNN grill that I felt at that breakfast, that these guys are messing with our lives. And to them it feels like, oh, it's a day at the country club. They laugh, they giggle, who cares about the ideas? Who cares about the effects? We got to cut Medicare? That's a sad day for people on Medicare. Who gives a shit? They're not at the CNN grill, right? And it just makes me sick. So that's why the media doesn't ask, hey, what about your donors? Because the most egregious thing you can do if you're already in the club is to question the club. You can't say, hey, you know what? I don't think you're on the level. I don't think that's really your ideology. I think what you care about is the donors, right? Because that seems impolite. And if you're impolite to other people in the club, that is a mistake you cannot make, because then they're not as interested in being chummy with you, and that's a big, big problem in those circles. Killing over 100,000 civilians in Iraq, not that big a mistake. You get asked back on TV the very next day. You get taken seriously, as if you're someone who's smart and we should pay attention to and make decisions based on. But if you're a little impolite to someone in the club, well, that's a problem. So now, the good news is 86% of the country is with us. They're not with them. So if we can somehow get to the people, they're ready. And 86% of the country, I got news for you, ain't liberals. Okay? It isn't just Democrats. It is Democrats, it is Republicans, it is libertarians. They're all sick of it, and they know it. It's the money. All right, now one more stat for you guys along these lines. 69%. Get a load of this. 69% of the country think that super PACs should be flat out illegal. Not like, hey, they need to be regulated. Wouldn't it be great if they disclosed their donors? No. These some of them bitches are buying our elections. Illegal. Wipe them off the face of the earth. Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians, they agree. Do you know how hard it is to get 69%? I mean, I don't want you to get all carried away with the 86 and 87, like, oh, everybody gets it. 69% on any issue is nearly impossible. But 69% say wipe them off the goddamn board. They're buying our elections. The people are with us. It's not a Democratic or Republican issue. All right. Now, so the simplest thing in the world is the Disclose Act. What does that do? If you're going to fight money in politics, first step, the easiest step is, hey, all right, take all the money you want, let it be unlimited, etc. Just tell us where you got it. In fact, if you read the Citizens United decision, Justice Anthony Kennedy, who wrote the majority opinion, said, oh, it's all going to be okay because they're going to disclose their donors. And it's going to be, free market of ideas, and we're going to know who had those ideas and who were pushing for that thing. And then, of course, the Republicans said, no, we're not. And for 30 long years, the Republicans said, oh, it's okay. George Will, I saw him. He's Mitch McConnell himself, et cetera. No, let us take unlimited money. It's okay because we'll disclose donors. So, okay, great. So we vote on it in 2010. Oh, shit, it failed. What the hell? Now, why did it fail? In the House, it looks like 219 are in favor and 206 opposed. Great, it passed the House. In the Senate, oh, it killed, 59-39. Oh, right, the Republicans filibustered it. They filibustered it, so you needed 60 votes. We fell 1 vote shy, okay? So, well, it's okay. They brought it back up in 2012. Oops, got much worse. They filibustered it again. Now it's only 53-45. We lost 6 senators. Because in that 2-year period, they're like, oh, this isn't going to pass. And it turns out, there's no consequences. The media never tells people that we're sucking up to these donors. They never know. We get the ads. You know the whole story. So now we lost 6 senators. This is the simplest one. This is the one where almost the entire country agrees. I haven't seen a poll on it, but I'd be surprised if it wasn't 98%. Okay? And we can't even get that passed. I tell you that because you got to understand Washington is not the answer. The virus has taken over Washington. It is thoroughly corrupted. We're not going to get these guys who can't pass the simplest measure to all of a sudden turn around and go, oh, yeah, constitutional amendment? Oh, yeah, I'm in. Not conceivable. But don't lose hope. I'm going to show you how we're going to do it. By the way, 77% say you should not cut Social Security under any fucking circumstances. Okay? Under no circumstances. I don't care if the budget is a disaster. I don't care if you got a deficit the size of Mars. No, you don't cut Social Security. Okay? Medicare, 74%. Don't cut it under any circumstance. Tax on the rich, 68%. Again, Democrats, Republicans, Independents. Raise taxes on the rich. So I'm sure that we are going to protect Social Security. Oh, by the way, oil subsidies. 70%. I can't believe it's that low, right? 30% are like, yeah, take my money. Give it to the richest guys in the country. Okay. That 30% you can sell almost anything to. But still an overwhelming majority, 70% say, no, don't give our taxpayer money to oil companies. They don't need it. So before I get to this slide, so what's happening? Oil subsidies, totally in place. Doesn't matter the 70% of the country's in favor of it. Grand bargain, even if President Obama wins, they're definitely going to cut Medicare. They might cut Social Security. And there's a decent chance they will actually cut taxes on the rich, not raise them. Okay? If Romney wins, of course, right? So you got 77% of the people on your side. Who cares? Who cares? I got Sheldon Adelson on my side, right? And that's the way it works. And of course, Obama in the 2008 election, his number 2 donor was Goldman Sachs, right? And then what's really weird is that none of the Goldman Sachs senior executives got arrested. Weird. Okay, so I'll take questions at the end. So let me explain this slide. So Billy Tauzin is a former United States congressman. He was the lead negotiator in the Medicare Part D that George W. Bush got passed. And he negotiated with the pharmaceutical companies. And what's interesting is the pharmaceutical companies poured in at the top there. You see the $390 million going towards Congress? That's the amount of money that they spent lobbying. Part of that went to Billy Tauzin, his campaign, his fellow colleagues, et cetera. And they decide, in their infinite wisdom, hey, you know what? Why don't we pass a law where the government cannot negotiate drug prices with pharma? That's the big drug companies. That's their lobby. Who would pass a law like that? Can you imagine if you cared about people? You said, okay, I got a great idea for you guys, all right? We're going to all pool our money together, and I'm going to take this drug company, and whatever price they want, I'm just going to give it to them. Okay, are you all in? I mean, you'd all say, are you nuts? Well, if we're going to get insurance or drugs or whatever, let's negotiate with them. And I say, no, you're not allowed to negotiate with them. You pay whatever the hell they want you to pay. If you had a democracy, wouldn't that guy be thrown out on his ass on the very next day? Okay? But they don't. He got the money. But Billy Tauzin is got as Clinton said the other night, he's got brass. So he said, that's not enough. Right after the law passed, right after, he went and became the chief lobbyist for pharma. Gets $2 million a year. How do you like that for a bribe? $2 million a year. Well, he did his job. They made billions. Oh, there it is at the end there. So what went back into pharma? $3.7 billion for that one provision about how we cannot negotiate with them. Of course they make $3.7 billion extra. We can't negotiate. They can charge us whatever they want. How insane is that? Now, if you're a farmer, think about this, right? Who wouldn't do that deal? You're saying, wait a minute, I pay this son of a bitch $2 million, I give overall $390 million in lobbying, and I get $3.7 billion back? That's 10 to 1. I do that every single day. That's why they do it every single day. This is how Washington works in a nutshell. It's all bribes. And we get screwed. We're the one paying the $3.7 billion. That's coming out of our pockets. That's the drug prices we pay, extra drug prices we pay. Because our congressman like Billy Tauzin got bought. George W. Bush got bought. I wish it were just that, though. No. There was a guy running who promised us change we could believe in 2008. Now, let me be very specific about this. Now, we had this ad in the presentation. It's not running for some reason, but it's okay. I can explain it to you. So President Obama ran an ad called Billy in the 2008 campaign. Now, that's the one that sticks in my craw. I can't get past it. It was about Billy Tauzin, the guy I just told you about. And he tells the story, and he did a great job with that ad in 30 seconds, tells the story of Billy and says, that's what's wrong with Washington. He's right about that. And he says, I don't want to play the same old Washington games a little better. I want to change the game. Change we can believe in. Okay, now you want to know what President Obama did on that same exact provision? Negotiated with Billy Tauzin. Made a deal where we cannot negotiate drug prices. Same exact deal. Unfortunately, that's the ad right there. It's even worse. So, no negotiation of drug prices, that's number 2. Number 1 is no drug reimportation. This is called a monopoly. And this is how they limit competition. This is how they kill the free market. If you're a conservative, you should be losing it over this. If you're a libertarian, you should want to start a revolution over this. We can't re-import drugs into the country. They say, oh, sure, you're going to get it from Canada. How unsafe. It's not unsafe. In Canada, they can negotiate. We can't negotiate in the U.S. So we think, all right, well, it's so much cheaper. It's the same exact drug. Why don't I just walk across the border with the drug? No, illegal. Illegal. We're going to stop it. Because Billy's got to make a deal. Billy made the deal with Bush. He made it with Obama. And number 3, this is actually worse. Under Bush, the first 2 were true. Under Obama, the extension of patents for data exclusivity. It's a complicated term, etc. But the bottom line is their patents where generic drugs can't compete with them got extended. It used to be 5 years. It's now 12 years. Another monopoly. Under Obama, I hate to break it to you, I voted for the guy. I argued for the guy vociferously, not just against McCain, but against Hillary, because I didn't want the establishment. And I thought Hillary was the establishment, and I thought he was change, right? But it got worse in this specific case. But this is not the only one. It's just representative. It's symbolic. I can show you 20 like this. It actually got worse under Obama. So what the hell happened to change we can believe in? What happened to changing the system? Unfortunately, President Obama is in the same system. He got success in the same system. He believes in the same system. He plays the same games. And I don't even blame him. I get angry from time to time, right? And if you've ever watched the show, you know that, right? But it's not about President Obama. It's not about Tauzin. It's not about Bush. It's if you set up a system where you have to have more money. If you don't have more money, you will only win 6% of the time. Well, everybody's got to do this. It is the rational thing to do. It's rational for the pharmaceutical companies to buy our politicians. It is rational for the politicians to get bought. The only way we change that equation is not by hoping that there is going to be some miraculous leader who is going to ignore the laws of logic and reason. It's not going to happen. They're not going to arise out of that system. They will be buried before they get there. For President of the United States, you know what you have to go through to get to that? And do you know that if you don't play ball, that they will deride you? The media will say, oh, outlandish, radical, Howard, whatever it might be. They're not going to let you get up there. So he got there because it is the system. If you don't change the rules, you can hope all you want. You could vote for change all you want, but you're going to get the same old, same old.